Good morning, SaveSAwine lovers, and welcome back to our morning live stream. This morning, I'm welcoming Erica Taylor for the launch of the 60 in 60 campaign. Good morning, Erica.
Good morning.
How are you on a Sunday morning? What's things like? Tell us what things are like there in Cape Town and how you are.
Well, I am very excited for the campaign to launch, and the first post just officially went out on Facebook and Instagram. It is talking about, excuse me, it's talking about Rustin Freda, which is obviously a very well-known, famous farm here. And since today is actually also International Cabernet Sauvignon Day. So that is why I picked them to be first, because one of their Cab Savs was the platter wine of the year for Cab Sav this year. So I figured that was a fitting kickoff.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, Erica, tell us a little bit. Our listeners have heard a lot about this campaign, but tell us a bit, just a bit of background, what the 1660 campaign is and what you hope to achieve with this whole campaign.
Yeah, so this campaign started in my brain during the second liquor lockdown. And I think that 60 and 60 South Africa kind of has a nice ring to it. So I'll be featuring one producer and one of their wines a day. Some of the producers are very small and only available here in South Africa. Some of them are available all over the world. I want to hopefully get exposure for some of the little guys and just kind of shine a light on some of the really cool things that we have happening here in South Africa to try and help save some of the farms that might not be able to make it due to our 5-month prohibition.
Well, it's absolutely awesome. And I think, the producers are going to be over the moon, the ones that are featured. And obviously, I really think that our public has been very, very good in supporting us. We've got 55,000 people on this Facebook group, and I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you for each of those 55,000, because not only have they shared this stuff with their family and friends, a lot of them have actually gone out and bought from our producers, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's really amazing to see everybody kind of coming together. Additionally, I've put together a pack for people in the US of, it's a 6-pack kind of highlighting some female winemakers here in South Africa. And that's through Lifetime Vintage. So if anybody wants to check that out, the links are on all of our social medias, and me, Uncorkified, obviously discussing it, trying to do my small part to actually sell the wines abroad and get a better market hold when people can't necessarily travel there.
So just back to the campaign, I see, I've seen on your website, if you can give a link quickly to the page where people can actually see the producers and the producer calendar, that would be fantastic. And I
Yes, I
also
will share that.
see on that page that you've signed up quite a few producers. So if there are guys that still want to get in, how do they get in and make sure that they're part of the 60 and 60?
So we've already picked all of our producers for the campaign, but we've also been in contact with each and every single of the individual wine routes, and we've been encouraging them to do their own campaign with their people, and we'll also share those as well. It's kind of a curated list of, being obviously in the industry, people that we have relationships with, and people that we want to continue to support. We know that we cannot possibly pick everybody, but who knows what will come of this campaign. Maybe it will continue and we'll expand. Maybe we'll do another 60 days. Maybe we'll do every day and then eventually get through all the wines of South Africa. But for right now, just for people to be able to support and share, and hopefully their wine route can share their information as well.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, if people haven't made your list, if I can put it that way, or they're not on the regional list, they can still go to the local wine route, become part of that list, and this will also be shared on all the relevant social media, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, that is up to each individual wine route, how they want to do it. But I have been in contact with all of them, and all of them have been very keen to support and jump on and share, especially when we're featuring. So the 60 and 60 campaign does have somebody from every single wine route, no matter how small. So there is a little bit of an opportunity to spread the light on some different regions, and some of them only have 3 or 4 or 5 farms. So definitely had to kind of pick from that. But yeah.
Okay, I'm just looking at your website here. It's www.saveSAwine.co.za /60 in 60. So if anybody wants to know who's on it and get a calendar of which days producers are featured, they can see it there. I assume you're gonna put additional information about the wine routes and stuff on here as the campaign rolls on, Erica.
We will indeed. It has been amazing and overwhelming. So just to show you kind of the magnitude of what we're working with, there's going to be 360 pieces of individual content going out over the next 2 months, 6 posts a day for each and individual producer, 3 on Facebook, 3 on Instagram. So it's a lot of coordination and scheduling to get everything to go out. So every day you can expect at 8 a.m., you'll get a little background on the producer, which today you can already see that Rustin Freda has already gone out. And then at 1 p.m., you'll get information on the winemaker or winemakers. And then at 5 p.m., just when it's time to pop open a bottle, you will get information on a specific wine that they have chosen that they want to showcase. So the wine that they're showcasing is something that I've left completely up to them, whatever they want to showcase about their brand. So definitely have a read, and wherever we can, we'll post links to where you can purchase, either in the UK, Europe, US, and obviously in South Africa. We're also working with Cape Classics and Cape Ardor, Caprio as well, and Port to Port, to get as many locations for you and make it as easy as possible for people to purchase the wines.
Well, that's fantastic. I just want to, tell people these 60 days are starting today and ending on the 28th of October, and we really need all of you to follow, to share every post, and of course to buy from every producer. We expect every listener, every member of our group to buy from every producer during the 60 days. I'm obviously only joking. I know you can't buy from every single one, but the more people you can support, the better. But just on a serious note, there is a major reason why we need your help. And Erica has actually summed it up very nicely in a previous post that I'm going to just summarize for you. We've had a nationwide prohibition of alcohol, and after that, Vinpro estimated that, over 90% of your wineries have cash flow problems. Isn't that amazing, Erica?
That's crazy to think about, that many people, and think about all the 300,000 plus jobs that then are potentially on the line, and then of the dependence of those people that are potentially on the line. So it's just massive blow to the South African
Yeah,
community.
I'm looking at the stats here. They say that there's 18,000 jobs that's already on the line in the next year and a half. And like you say, the total industry is over 300,000 jobs. But even worse than this, the wider wine tourism industry, which is one of the biggest industries in South Africa, has lost revenue of over 2.5 billion rands between March and July, which is obviously a massive blow to the whole economy of the whole of the Western Cape, but the whole of the wine industry. And then I think the other thing that's really going to be a problem is the whole 300 milliliter surplus of wine that the guys have with a harvest that's coming. I don't know if you in your talks with producers, what they are saying about this.
Yeah, so there's definitely, I mean, we got, hit with this right in the middle of harvest, and some people didn't know if they were going to be able to finish their wines. And in the 11th hour, I think FinPro made everything possible that people could at least finish making the wines. But because we have so much excess, we either need to export it or figure out it needs to go somewhere. And people have also said that for 2021, they won't necessarily buy in grapes from the outside because there's already a surplus. So people that are independent grape growers are really the most at risk, because they will not have anybody to sell their grapes to, because people that are already growing their own grapes on their farm will just be using what they have to produce their wines for the next year, because we will have such a surplus. So
I think
thinking about it.
those are the guys at most risk is your independent grape growers. I see with the Vinpro numbers, they estimated 12.6% of those guys could go out of business, but that number could rise.
Yeah, we're all going into this blind. We're just now finally starting to see the full ramifications of it. And as sales have opened up and seeing how, it's kind of the new purchasing, how are people buying now? Everybody's been affected by income, and so some of the more premium wines, or prices even over 100 Rand for a bottle, might not necessarily be affordable for somebody. So anybody that only produces premium wine, might have a complete lack of sales. So we have no idea where these numbers will go. And I know that VinPro is working very hard to watch them and kind of keep us updated so that everybody in the industry can try to adjust as much as possible.
I think this is the main thing, although the ban's been lifted on the 18th of August, we've had 5 months of damage. And, that's put the nail in the coffin of many wine producers. And we really need everybody. I know people are feeling a little bit like celebrating because the ban was lifted. And it's good to celebrate. I mean, that's what wine's for, celebration. But we also can't be complacent. So my appeal to everybody, especially in the SaveSAwine Facebook group, but anybody else listening to, is just to support all the social media channels. Use the hashtags 1660, use the hashtag SaveSAwine, and use the hashtag Drink South African. We can't afford to be complacent, and we need to keep up the awareness, not only to support our industry now to save it, but also to make sure that if there's we could end up with a spike in cases and a potential where lockdowns could happen again, or bans could happen again, or restrictions, maybe not a ban. And all of this has detrimental effects. And the more awareness we can keep on the importance of the industry, the less severe any potential or new restrictions might be.
I think it's also important to remember that we also had weeks of of not being able to export wines as well, and that was during a critical time, especially in the U.S. when alcohol sales were up 44 to 55%, and because of the lack of being able to export, many of the farms lost valuable space on the shelves that they had fought so hard for, and because of the importers not being confident in the government to not take that away again, many producers might not be able to get back on the shelves. So that's also important for people abroad to go in and ask for South African wine specifically, find some of your favorite producers. You can also, Cape Ardor, they do direct to consumers from wine farms here. So if you have some of your favorite producers, I definitely recommend checking them out. They'll ship to you all over the US. So taking a little bit more effort and finding your wines than just popping by your local store might be needed at this time, but it is always greatly appreciated.
I think you're right. Just on that note, do you have any idea of what the worldwide wine situation is in terms of surplus, whether the lockdown actually had an impact of wines coming, flooding the market from other places, or do you have any idea on that?
Well, I can only speak to America, and just that they had a huge spike in sales. But additionally, this is actually a really great time for South African wines because of the tariffs coming in from Europe. It's almost pricing, French, Spanish, Italian wines out of the market. So South African wines are going to be able to maintain a consistent price and obviously are always high quality. Whereas some of the even lower end wines from Europe are going to be selling for much higher if they're going to be coming in at all. So it's an amazing time, kind of the perfect storm for South African wines to head over to the US and show people the kind of quality you can get at very reasonable prices.
Well, it would even be better is if we can actually get those US people to hop on a plane and come visit our fantastic winelands.
Well, I don't think we want them just right this exact second. Maybe people from Europe and other countries that have dealt better with this first. But there's definitely people that are still keen. And I did want to mention that every Thursday at 5 p.m. I'll be doing an Instagram live, which I believe you'll be streaming to the site as well. And I will be purchasing all of the wines. So each week I'll talk about different topics, whether it's a particular wine or a region. Maybe it's just some updates on the numbers, any of those kinds of things. So at 5 o'clock South African time each Thursday, I'll just do a little check-in on the SaveSAwine.co.za Instagram to kind of let you guys know how it's going and what's coming up.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, we will, like you just said, we're going to restream it, and just to give you guys an idea, you will be able to find that on all our Facebook pages, on YouTube, as well as on Twitter via Periscope. So but the main place to be is on the SaveSAwine Instagram, because Erica will be live doing this. So that's fantastic, Erica, that you can make that commitment. But let's talk about the exciting stuff, about the producers, right? So our first producer that we are looking at today is, like you say, Rustin Vrede. Now, Rustin Vrede is one of the old farms in Stellenbosch, established in 1694, and in the hands of a famous rugby family. What else can you tell us about Rustin Vrede?
So Rustin Vrede has a long standing, what's the word I'm looking for, reputation for quality and service. Years ago when I believe it was Barry Schofield, who's now the chairman of the South African Sommeliers Association, and Joachim, who's also a board member, and I think Joe Vessels, who is competing for the best Somm in South Africa. They ran the wine list at the restaurant over at Rustin Vrede, and I believe it was, I'm sure they'll tell me if I'm wrong on this, I believe it was one of the top wine lists in the world. At that time, and many accolades, and no stranger to platters and international awards. So I've been to the farm on many occasions. It's stunning. The food's amazing. The tasting experience is great. So because today is International Cabernet Sauvignon Day, obviously Stellenbosch is known for cabs, but I figured I'd highlight one that received the Platters Wine of the Year for 2020.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. I mean, just talking about that restaurant, that Rustin Vrede restaurant has been the top restaurant on TripAdvisor, I think, for the last 3 years in a row in the winelands. And like you say, they've got a fantastic wine list. But it's worth just visiting the restaurant in itself is a fantastic thing to do. And then, of course, you said today is International Cabernet Sauvignon Day.
It is. So it's a little bit chilly here in Cape Town. At least the sun is shining. Yesterday it was pouring down rain. And I'm not sure if you guys all saw that it was snowing on Table Mountain. Wow. And in Franschhoek, people were actually able to have snowball fights. So it's been very chilly this side. Perfect time to curl up with a full-bodied cab on this Sunday. So there's so many fantastic options. You know, in keeping with the fairness of the campaign, we're only featuring one wine per day. So no day will feature more than one wine to keep it completely fair for everybody. But always you can feel free to ask me for recommendations on some of my favorites. And I'm sure in the SaveSAwine group, people also have their favorites.
So, Erica, I assume you are having a Rustin Vrede cab with your lunch today, which is fantastic.
I am sure that I will, and lunch might need to come a little bit earlier than later because I'm so excited for it.
Okay, that's wonderful. So, anybody out there that wants to get the Rustin Vrede cab, I think Rustin Vrede is available quite widely. You unfortunately won't be able to get it today because the shops are closed. But if you still want to buy it, you can go out and you can definitely order it online or go buy it on Monday. If you have it at home, open it.
And the Rustin Vrede website for wine sales is very easy to use. So definitely check it out and see what else they have on offer.
Okay, awesome. Erica, thank you very much for highlighting this, and thank you for putting this whole campaign together. This is really fantastic. And all we can say is, guys, please go out, use the hashtags. You want to repeat those hashtags for everyone, Erica?
Yes, so we're using all three of them in tandem with each other to really get the point across. So it's hashtag 60 and 60 with the numbers not spelled out, 60IN60, and then hashtag SaveSAwine, and then hashtag Drink South African. So if you use all three of those in tandem, we will see them.